Well, thank you again for making this time. So it was really great talking to Ashwini a couple of weeks back
Yeah.
and getting a little bit of insight into what you guys do. That sounds really, really interesting what you do. So yeah, I was wondering if you could just tell me a little bit about your brand and, just how you got
Yeah.
started. Mm.
Yeah. Where we started is ours was more like a light bulb moment because my mom's a fashion designer in India.
Mm.
And I used to work in advertising and marketing. So I used to work for Saatchi and Saatchi and Ogilvy. And when I took a break to do my master's in creative economy, it sort of opened up to say there are a lot more things you can do creatively rather than just these standards, things like design studios. And then after my master's, I visited one of her workshops, and that's where I saw all these brand new fabric pieces going to waste
Mm.
because it wasn't getting used, after the dress is made, because they do sort of high-end bespoke dresses, so everything's individual. So, then the extra thing is thrown away.
Mm.
And that's when we started thinking, okay, shall we restart reusing that? And it was a very simple idea to just cut like a rectangular piece and make it into a bookmark.
Mm. Mhm.
And then it was too flimsy, so we then pasted two sides together, put like a canvas in the middle and stitched it over, and then cut it out with pinky scissors. There's no fraying.
Mm.
And that's how the first Offcut product was born.
Mm.
And from there on, it was, we were trying to do a lot more things to say, okay, what else can we do? And we also put it out in her shop. First, we used to give it as customer purchase presents,
Mm.
and then people came back to actually buy it.
Yeah.
That's where it thought that, okay, there's a market here.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
So your
price tag to it.
Yeah. So your mum designs, is it high-end fashion? Is it?
Yeah, so she does fashion, but she's got a couple of shops in India, in
Mm.
Mumbai.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it was just that the beginning was there because, I've seen offcuts all my life,
Yeah.
as you would as a fashion designer's son.
Yeah.
But I was quite keen, and plus I had a marketing background, so the key was to actually not just make something, but actually reuse it in a way which is beneficial to everyone.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So that was the whole idea behind, the reuse offcuts, and then we started, sourcing offcuts from her other associates and people we knew in the industry, and we started making, like folders and envelopes and books. And then eventually we took a call that, books are the best financially, makes more sense, and people use it more.
Yeah.
So we started selling, then we sort of got the concept to UK because I was just coming back, and we said, let's just do it here. And then started approaching a lot of independent shops and chain shops. And we ended up sort of selling to 40 independent shops and to Fenwick, Foyles Bookshop, South Bank Centre, British Library. And these all products were made out of offcuts we had sourced locally in India.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
That sounds.
but yeah, it all sounds good. But then there was a big problem
Uh-huh.
that people did not understand the concept. That what we were trying to do, the buyers did not, the end users did not. They just thought it's made out of paper, which looks like fabric. And because we didn't have massive marketing budgets, we couldn't give like free book stands like other big brands. So I'm allowed to say the name like Moleskine, Electrum, they would give in. Nor we could pay for the space. So we were good. The concept was liked by the buyers, but then we always ended up in the bottom shelf,
Mm.
and then the sales were not as much as we expected.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess the bottleneck is that you have a limited uh, amount of fabrics that you're using. So you're not going out and buying this fabric. So if there was a massive order, you couldn't perhaps cater for that. Is that the Was that the shortcoming?
No, I mean that was in certain areas. So what we started doing is we then started sourcing end of rolls rather than really tiny offcuts.
Yeah.
Because someone like Foyles who wants to put it in their four shops, they would say, I need this yellow pattern in 10 notebooks or 20 books. So when we source end of rolls, that means you get in meters. So, after the dress is made or after the collection's made,
Mm.
there's always 2, 3, 4, 5 meters available, which is plenty to make books.
Mm.
So we overcame that problem as well.
Mm.
But I think the issue was that, after selling to so many shops, the turnaround time for their following order was a bit slow. So hence we were concerned that, if it goes at this pace, then we can't really push it, nor really have the marketing budget to push it too much forward.
Mm. 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 Mm.
But then, we got a call from one of our clients. That time there wasn't a client. She just saw our book at South Bank Centre, and she gave us a ring and said, "I have offcuts." So she makes ethical armchairs in Guildford.
Uh-huh.
She just said, I have a lot of offcuts. Could you do something for me? And I said, well, offcuts are offcuts. It doesn't really matter whether we source it or you give it to us. And then the next day she came to our office with a big 4x4 and opened the boot, and there was a whole box of offcut. And first thing I was like, okay, we can try. And then, it sort of worked, because then she was very interested in our story. So we made books for her with her story on the front, like the first page of the book when you open it. And then the last page was our story.
Uh-huh.
And that's how the collaboration started.
When you
And
say
then
books, is that like notebooks that people can write
yeah,
in?
writing notebooks. Yeah,
Yeah.
writing notebooks and journals is our sort of the core product. So then we started. Okay, we said let's test the market somewhere else. So we approached a couple of designers in Shoreditch, fashion designers in Shoreditch, and suit makers in Savile Row, to see whether they would give us offcuts and they would be interested in creating these notebooks, their branded notebooks with their branding.
Mm-hmm.
And we got good response, and that's how we moved from selling from B to C, and we then started doing B2B, business to business, where we always, we now work with like mills, fashion designers, textile designers, shoemakers, fabric manufacturers, weavers, but we all make it for them. So, they can then use it for PR, marketing, or a launch event, or they'll give it out, or they'll sell it, or they add it to the accessories range. Which now then, financially, business-wise, it made a lot more sense.
Yes.
And ethically as well, because then we got a lot more offcuts which are already all around the world, which were just sitting there, not doing anything. Now at least we found a use to it, or at least we gave them a new life, so they will be at least used by people rather than just sitting in one stockroom.
And I guess are these sort of fashion brands, are they using that element of their recycling element as part of their marketing, do you think? Or are they just sort of doing it because it's their fabric and it looks good?
No, I think it's a bit of both. Like some people will mention, even in the write-up, where we print their logo on the first right-hand page when you open the book, they'll probably say that this is made out of the offcut or of the leftover fabrics of this collection. And some people will keep it very simple, but then they'll mention it in their social media that this is made from the offcut of it. So and I think it's a bit of both. People do want to say it, people don't want to say it, but then what happens is people want to say it in a very subtle way. So every book which we create, notebook, there's always a line at the back that sustainable creativity with Kapdaa, the Offcut company. So the idea is that whenever people collaborate with us, because our whole marketing, our whole website, newsletters, it's all talking about sustainability throughout. So now brands don't want to say anything. They just say we've collaborated with Kapdaa, and that sort of answers all the questions. If they don't want to shout out too loud, they'll just sort of.
Yeah.
We improve the product, step by step. Like we want to reduce the plastic packaging as much as we can.
Yeah.
So we're looking at some solutions there. We just started launching some muslin fabric bags, in which the books will come, or the new products which we've launched, they will come. And then we're trying to find if we can find an ink which we can use, which is made out of waste as well, which we use to print. We also don't do digital printing because we're supporting people who have always done screen printing all their life. So like 20, 30 years, that's what they've done.
Yeah.
And now because of digital printing, they're losing their livelihood.
Right.
So we try and support them as well. And clients understand that. So it's not a restriction we have. It's just a preference. We tell people that if you do digital printing, we're happy to do it. But if you do screen printing, there's a benefit that you're giving a job to someone who would not have a job otherwise.
Yeah. And what kind of accreditations do you have as a company? If somebody was to say, how ethical is this company, what would they receive?
I mean, we haven't got an accreditation as such because we were approached by Positive Luxury recently. But for us, the point is we are very transparent. So our clients can actually, because we share videos, so just shot by a manager at the factory. So they can see how the atmosphere is, how the environment is, how people are there, how it is, how light it is. And in terms of other details like fire extinguishers, sprinklers, fire exits, all of that varies from brand to brand, like what all details they want.
Right.
But there isn't a single accreditation which we've applied for, because we just feel that paying someone to tell that we are ethical is not something we would like to sort of pursue unless we know that, it's actually reasonable. And we were like, well, we can actually give that thousands of pounds to someone or start a different unit where we can employ more people rather than just getting a logo or an icon.
Right.
But that's what our thinking is. If it's reasonable and if it's going to be feasible, like we worked with University of Arts London in their Centre of Sustainable Fashion department, we worked with Selfridges Sustainable department, and a lot of other brands as well. A lot of fashion brands with their sustainable department as well. So it's like we are being transparent of what we do.
Yeah.
If you need a mark to say that okay, these guys are good to work with, then it's a different story. But we've got good, we get good word of mouth. People recommend us as well to their, people who, like, I think we got recommended to Bugaboo, the pram company. We worked with them as well to create like hundreds of books for their sales event from their Offcut. And we didn't approach them. They just got told by one of our clients, which had nothing to do with the pram industry. He was just a fashion designer and he just recommended us, and that's about it.
Well, that's the best kind of marketing, isn't it, really?